All right, welcome everyone. Ignite session 13. Thanks for powering through with us. Um, so today is going to be kind of more of I would call it a wrap up session, if you will. So if you'll notice, we're on section 13, and we are done with the lead follow up section after today. We've been going through how to keep every lead, how to follow up with leads, and how to strengthen relationships. One of the biggest eye openers that I want you guys to see is we have 4 sessions on lead follow up. All right. And the reason why I really want to pause right here and hit home on this is 4 different sessions of lead follow up. We get a lead, right? We're a brand new agent. We get a lead. We're all excited about it. We take everything that lead says as face value. And that creates this excitement in our soul and in our gut and in our minds. And we're doing the right things, and we're pushing through, and all of our lead generation efforts are starting to finally pay off, and new things are starting to hit us. And then all of a sudden we get a lead and they're no longer responding, or they're not so forthcoming with information anymore. Everything kind of seems surface level, and we're not sure why, like what we're doing wrong. Why we had such a great conversation when they came to my open house, and now they're not answering the phone. My buddy told me that they're looking to buy a home, and they just started the job, and they were all excited about meeting with me, and they never showed up to my appointment. Why? And why? What am I doing wrong? Well, we're going to talk about that today, right? And we gotta set our minds right. 4 different sessions on lead follow-up. That really needs to ring home to you guys, needs to set, hold, and be true. Most of your leads will need to be nurtured for a long period of time before they become an actual viable person. Now let me say that again. Most of your leads will take some time before they come to fruition. Most of them will need to be cultured and nurtured and followed up with over multiple interactions, over multiple times. Some leads might be 3 months out, 6 months out, a year out. Some leads might tell you they're 3 months out when they're actually a year out, depending upon how that progresses, right? So the reality of leads is the follow-up is super important, and that's why we've talked about it for 4 different sessions. Now, in lead generation, sections 5 through 9, what you've also learned was, as you develop your business and as you figure out your lead generation strategies, you're going to start by riding a bike with training wheels. And then all of a sudden, the training wheels are going to come off, but mom or dad is going to be behind you, helping you ride that bike. And before you know it, you're riding that bike on 2 wheels, but you're still not able and comfortable to leave the neighborhood or the driveway yet. And over time of riding your bike without training wheels, without mom and dad, you start to meet new friends down the street, new neighborhood friends. And now you're getting a little bit more, comfortable on that bike. And so now you're driving, down to this subdivision and that subdivision. So lead generation is very similar to a kid riding a bike. You have to start by not understanding any mechanics around it and working towards that. It's only until your lead generation gets off the ground and running to the point where you're on a bike on 2 wheels, and you've already made friends down the street, and now you and your friends are starting to go on adventures because both of you are comfortable riding that bike on 2 wheels. So as you can see, it's a progression. You can't just start this job day 1 and start lead generating and expect leads. Same goes for lead follow-up. You can't get a lead and expect that lead to just start to be a transaction that puts money in your pocket. You've got to learn how to follow up with them. You've got to learn how to make sure you have this robust touch program to remind yourself to reach out to them when it's due. And then for today's purposes, we're really going to talk about how over time you need to qualify these buyers or sellers to really pinpoint when it actually is they're going to do what they're going to do. All right. So motivation is what we're going to talk about today. All right. The last 3 sessions, we've really talked about what leads are, how to put them up to a pipeline and what that looks like. Today, we're going to really work through a pipeline. I'm going to teach you guys some questions and some things to really help solidify the timeline and motivation behind somebody to the point where that is the drop dead thing that they're going to do by this time with you. All right. All right. Find the motivated. Right. We're going to talk about that. I just talked to you about the motivation piece. The other thing that we get hung up on as real estate agents is we get a lead that will tell us everything that they think we want to hear to get us all excited. But at the end of the day, we don't know if they're motivated or not. And so with lead generation and lead follow-up, you have to be doing both, because Shara Kingston, she's not on here right now, but she's been working through her real estate lead generation systems, and she's been very frustrated with the leads that she's been getting because they're very far into the distance. And she just felt like every lead generation piece that she was doing was absolutely only going to cause her to find business for way down the road and into the future. Well, through a couple of coaching sessions with her, I kept saying, you got to press on, you got to press forward. You're one open house away from a motivated lead that wants to do business with you right here and now. You're one phone call away from the same thing. You're one networking event away from the same thing. And sure enough, she went out and did another open house. And out of that one open house, she now has a buyer's agency signed and 2 exclusive right to sell signed by the one person that walked into that door. She found the motivated. They were motivated, and it just so happened to be that they were motivated that day, right now. But if she would have just not done that open house and continued to, push forward with leads that have no motivation, they're way down the road, and spend all of her time focused on those leads, she would have never been able to find the motivated. All right. We're going to talk about classifying, right? There's a couple different metrics. I know Ignite teaches the ABC metric. I'm a 1 through 10 guy, where I'm going to teach you guys and talk to you guys about the definitions around ready, willing, and able. We touched base on it in one of the Ignite sessions, but we're really going to hammer it today. Qualifying buyers and sellers, it's just simply what we're doing. And then we're going to get you guys out of here. I like this quote. This is something, man, if you guys are struggling with the leads that you have, it's because they're not motivated. You need to press on. Your number one job as a real estate agent is to find ways to get into the path of motivated buyers and sellers. All right. I like where it says find ways to get in the path. A lot of us are trying to create paths and attract buyers and sellers to our path. Well, when in reality, buyers and sellers have their own path, and that path is their want or their need to do real estate, and it's their world and they live in it, so it's their path. It's our job to pick ourselves up and put ourselves in these paths, not the other way around. We simply think that by doing our job, by lead generating, we're creating our path, and that buyers and sellers will funnel into it. It doesn't work that way. Our path leads us to their path, if that makes sense. We have to find the motivated, because the motivated are the ones that are going to do it. The reason why we talk about leads, all right, being a 10-to-1 ratio. For every 10 leads I get, only one, statistically speaking, is going to close within the next 12 months. Right? We hear that. I say that all the time, but we still get excited about those leads that only have a 90% or a 90% chance of not doing anything. And that's because we have to find the motivated, right? And the motivated is that 1 out of 10, the one that's going to do it because they just got a job offer. And that job starts next February 1st. And it's a done deal. They've signed paperwork. They're moving out here. Their job is putting them up in a 3 or 6 month rental, and they need to find a house. That's motivated. The lead that calls you and says, yeah, Bruce, hey, I saw your Facebook post, and it really got me thinking, you said the inventory is kind of, picking up. Well, we tried to look for a home a couple years ago, and there just really wasn't anything out there for us in our price point. And so, what we're looking for is, a couple of acres for about 600,000. Got to be in Boulder County for sure because of the kids' school. And, when we find that house, we'll be ready to sell the current house that we're in. That's going to get any agent all excited. But here's what I hear as kind of a seasoned agent. You have a current home that you're in. You've been in that home, and you wanted to buy a home 2 years ago, but you couldn't find what you were looking for 2 years ago in the price point that you were in. So in 2 years, we've only gone up. So now, unless this buyer lead or this potential buy sell lead has changed their budget, if they couldn't find what they wanted 2 years ago, we've got a slimmer chance today finding what they want. Not because inventory is lower than it was. The inventory is much higher than it was 2 years ago, but equities are much higher. So their house that they want on 2 acres in Boulder County in the St. Vrains Valley School District is probably out there, but it's probably way over their budget. And so it's going to make them feel like there's still no inventory for them. You see, that's what I hear. I hear this is a pipe dream. They're not motivated. And if they were willing to spend the last 2 years in the same home that they're in, they don't mind the home that they're in. They just want something different. And so since there's no timeline, that it's kind of a pipe dream, I'm not going to consider them motivated. I'm going to go through the motions, and I'm going to set them up on a search, and I'm going to have probably a buyer's consultation with them. And I'm probably going to get them to sign an exclusive right to buy. And I'm probably going to help them go through the lending process to be ready when a home hits. But the reality is I'm not going to have any sort of angst around them being a closing for me at this current moment. They may be in the future, but unless something drastic happens to their situation, this lead is not likely to come to fruition, which is probably the 9 out of 10 that doesn't happen in the next 12 months. I know I talk fast, so I want you guys to see the difference. The situation that we just set up, or, hey, Bruce, I just saw your Facebook post. I wanted to reach out because my job is putting me up at a management position, and I need to make a move because it starts February 1st. And they're going to put me in a 3 to 6 month rental, and I'm not renting anything. I don't want to be in a rental because I need to find a house. And I don't care if I find a house well before February 1st. I need to find this place. So what do we need to do next? All right, well, we need to get in touch with the lender. Send it over to me, man. I'll call them this week. Okay, great. If you, I'll call you in a week to see and make sure that you followed up with the lender, and we'll work through it from there. When will you be in town? I'll be in town in like a month. Okay, great. What days are you going to be in town? Okay, I'll get it on my calendar. I'll see you in a month. Let's work on lending in the meantime. That's motivated, you guys. That stuff will just happen, but you got to continue your lead generation to get into that path. Okay. Big difference between leads and viable leads. All right. I want to hear it. I want to hear it from you guys. Hopefully you guys are ready to interact, participate. Myth understandings. We don't talk about this too much, but it's a myth understanding. And what I think they're getting away from the term drunk monkey. I don't think drunk is the right thing that we should probably be using, but that's what I know. So I look at a myth understanding as a drunk monkey. It's a myth you're telling yourself because you just don't understand. So what kind of myths or what kind of stories are you guys telling yourselves about finding buyers and sellers in this market right now?
Interest rates are too high.
Interest rates are too high. Okay. Interest rates are too high. Let's dispel that one. I love that one. So when a buyer tells me interest rates are too high, the first thing I'm going to go to is, okay, their monthly budget is important to them. All right. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I know interest rates have gone up, and you say that interest rates are too high, and so it's causing you to think that you're done, maybe right now is not the time that you're looking to buy. Let me ask you, have you determined what your monthly budget is to buy a house? Well, no or yes or whatever the case may be, right? Well, okay, great. Now, have you talked to a lender about what that monthly budget would look like in terms of today's interest rates to get it to an actual a price point for the purchase of a home? Right there is when pretty much everybody with that little myth or that little thing stops and says, well, no, I haven't done that yet. Okay, well, here, I've got an in-house lender. His name is Grant, and he'll walk through some scenarios with you to figure out what kind of budget you could have for a home with that price, with that monthly budget. Now, it's 100,000% free to talk to Grant, and it's 1,000% free to talk to me to see if this is something that would work. So I want you to talk to Grant, figure out what price point you could purchase at, bring that back to me along with what you're looking for in a home, and I'll put together what we call an MLS search to see if there's some places online that you might be interested in buying, because you would be buying a home for your family and to keep your monthly costs where it should be to pay yourself some equity in the future, right? You're not buying a home just based upon interest rate, right? And that's when they say, well, yeah, but it's a combination of both. Okay, great. I know interest rates are not exactly where you're at today, where you want it to be at today, but the interest that you're paying in your rental situation is actually 100%. You see, 100% of your monthly payment to your landlord goes to your landlord's pocket versus a 6% interest rate. You're still paying into the equity of your home. So let's go ahead and let's take a look and let's figure out exactly what kind of home you can get into, if it's out there on the market. And if it's not, then yeah, stay in your rental. Keep paying 100% interest rate. But if there's homes in your monthly budget price point, doesn't it make sense to just pay that interest for a few years, refinance into a lower interest when they go down, and you still have 2 years or 3 years worth of equity payoff? You see, I love that question, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, about the interest rates. But the reality is there's a solution for you. Are you willing to go through this journey with me to figure out if this is something you want to do? Right? That's my spiel. That's my script around that. Now, if they say, well, no, I understand what you're saying. And I'm really just, that's all well and good. I don't have time to talk to a lender and go through all of that. Right there, boom. I'm instantly telling myself there's no motivation here. Now, can I try and draw some more out? Yeah, I'm going to try. But my mind isn't getting my hopes up. My mind is going to, I got a couple more shots at this. Otherwise, this guy is just going to be somebody I follow up with, and he's going to be on my radar if somebody wants to buy. Well, help me understand. It sounds like this is something you really, really want to do. And because you're concerned with interest rates, it means you don't want to pay more per month than you need to a bank. But you are willing to still pay your landlord 100%. So is it really the interest rates that's causing you not to buy, or is there something else? Because everybody that I know wants to buy is happy to talk to a lender for free and allow me to work for free to see if this is something they can do. So there's got to be something else, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, that's holding you back. And if you don't want to tell me, that's okay. I'm just here to help, but there's some wires being crossed that I can't understand. And then they'll either talk to a lender or they won't, because there's another reason that they don't want to, right? What other things you guys have about buyers and sellers? You guys are all lead generating right now. I know all of you guys are very, frustrated with the lack of things going on in your real estate business. Whereas in us coaches, we know that you guys got to put the training wheels on first, then the training wheels have to come off. So we know you're walking through the progression, but we also know you want to ride a bike without the training wheels. So what are you guys saying to yourselves about buyers and sellers? What's getting in your way from finding these folks?
Being new. I don't know how to put it, but being brand
Awesome.
new and them wanting to be with someone more experienced.
I love that, Liz. I was hoping some of you guys would say that, right? You guys all know me. I look like I'm 12. I sound like I'm 12. I've always done that. When I got into the industry, I was new and I sounded like I was 12. I had the same thing, Liz. What like, why would somebody want to work with a brand new agent? Right? They like, why would a buyer doesn't want to biggest transaction of their life, man? I hear Mark and Bruce and Harry and Claudia, and I hear everybody say this all the time. We're helping people with the biggest transaction of life. So why would a buyer entrust a brand new agent with the biggest transaction of their life, or a seller who's already gone through the process with another agent? Why would they ever want to sell their home with a brand new agent? Well, here's what I've learned, you guys, and this is what is 100% true. I think this is why I like to be a coach. It keeps me up to date with the relevancy in the market. You see, an agent who's been doing this for 30 years is the agent that scares me, because their business practices, their knowledge around the real estate law and industry is based upon 30 years ago. They've had 30 years of update courses and changes to the contract that they're lost as to what's true and what's not. They don't know marketing. They don't know things. They're also worn out. A brand new agent has vigor. A brand new agent has intensity and passion behind what they're doing because they're super excited about it still. Here's the other thing. You guys just went through the schooling. I couldn't take that test today and pass it. You actually know more than agents that have been in the business for a long time. Agents been in the business a long time. The only thing that they have a leg up on you is they know a little bit more scripts and they know the contract better. So as far as you're new and buyers and sellers won't want to work with you, they won't even realize you're new until you go under contract. And even then, if you use us coaches, we'll help you guys not feel like you're new. But the reality is that you guys are ready, willing, and able to help a buyer or seller at any given point in time. You guys have the most up-to-date real estate school knowledge there is. And you guys have the energy and passion around it. If I told you guys that I had a $400,000 buyer lead right now that was getting pre-approved and hello, buyer pre-approved, ready to roll, $400,000, you guys would all jump over that lead. If you gave Jenny Hart a buyer lead for $400,000, she's going to ask a lot of questions before she takes that lead. So being new is awesome because you guys want it. You guys will kill it. You guys will bend over backwards for those leads. You guys will provide customer service that veteran agents simply won't because they're tired. I like that one. What else? I like this one. First-time home buyers can't get into this market. It's an extremely high market, and I feel bad for anybody who's trying to get into this market as a first-time home buyer, because like I think it's outrageous that they have to pay $400,000, $500,000 for a house. Anybody else feel that way? Think that, you know, buyers can't afford the market right now, not even just interest rates. It goes back to finding the motivated, finding the ones that are creative, right? Buyer leads that are buying for the first time that just got out of college. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but people that are just joining the workforce right now are making substantially more than the workforce 10, 15 years ago. People getting out of college are getting $120,000, $150,000 jobs with their first application. Some aren't, but most are. People that are coming out of high school, maybe in their mid-20s, early 30s, that are, you know, that we got people starting their own businesses because of YouTube videos, TED Talks, audio books, that are trying new things that 20, 30-year-olds were never doing 15, 20 years ago. They have more money than any other 20, 30-year-old you knew 15 years ago. The reason why our market still continues to sustain with and without first-time home buyers is because buyers are finding a way to do it. When they want to do it, they find a way. I have multiple first-time home buyers who have parents that co-sign on the loan with them. I got multiple first-time home buyers with settlements from court cases, from injuries and accidents. Multiple first-time home buyers who just landed their first real job in a corporate setting that knows they have to pay the individual $100,000 because they want them to move out to Denver, Colorado to work at their corporate office. First-time home buyers can easily buy in this market. There's a large pool that can't, but I'm going to put myself in the path that can because I know of all those other scenarios. I know for a fact there's so many first-time home buyers with salaries and incomes and situations of wealth in their family more than ever has been before. The generational like wealth passing down right now is like 8 times more than it was 20 years ago. People are figuring out how to preserve their wealth before death and passing it on to their kids and their family. So any time of myth that you guys have, I'm not going to sit here and ramble because I've already done that. Any type of myth that you guys have, call me. All right. It's all up in your head. People are buying and selling homes all the time, no matter what the market is. We just got to get those myth understandings out. We can't have that little guy chirping on our shoulder telling us we can't do it because we're creating a story in our head that's not true. I like these charts. This is where we hit home on our sphere of influence, right? We say this over and over and over and over again, but this chart proves it. People want to do business with people they know, love, and trust. All right. People want to do business with people they know, love, and trust. Let me give you guys a for instance here. I've been having a little bit of a car issue for the past couple of years. I drive a Hyundai Sonata. I bought it when I was a buyer's agent running. I wanted to save on some gas, but I'm a Midwest boy and I want to go back to my truck. And so I've been looking and I've been looking. And so through looking, I found a couple of friends, I guess, if you will, acquaintances that I've really got to know through visiting their dealerships multiple times. Now, through those relationships, the car salesmen, the people that have actually built a rapport with me, it's a subconscious feeling for me to have to go through one of them to buy my truck. I actually feel guilty because I'm not going through the one dealership with that gentleman to buy my truck. I feel guilty, but I'm buying a truck, probably paying more than I really want to, not for the truck, but than I wanted to for a truck, just because I want to go through my friend at the dealership. Real estate's no different. That's why we always harp on, look, lead generation, you can be salesy, you can be scripty, but you need to sprinkle in relational pieces. You want to build rapport. And here's the reason. 47% of all buyers work with an agent from somebody that they were referred from. So if you guys aren't tapping into your database and building your database to understand, hey, when I ask you if you have any real estate needs, I'm not asking just you, I'm asking every coworker that you know. I'm asking your second cousin who lives in Commerce City. I'm asking you about your aunt who lives up in Glen Haven in the mountains. I'm asking you about the PTA that you're on at school. My database lead generates for Bruce. I just talk and build relationships with my database. And over time, my message always is, I don't want you to buy or sell a home with me. I want to help your people in your world. I don't want you to buy or sell a home with me. I just want to help your coworkers and the people you know from church and your family and friends that live out of state. My database refers me mass amounts of business because when they refer me, those people that they're referring me to, they simply trust me right off the rip because of the connection that we have through our acquaintance. used agent previously for their transaction. So if you guys understand database and sphere of influence, I want you guys to combine these numbers. All right. 60% of all buyers work with their 60% of all of your buyers should come from your sphere, right? As you build your business, you're going to have past transactions with people. Those people will become sellers and buyers down the road again and again, as long as we're touching base with them. So as you can see, 60% of your lead generation efforts should be focused on your sphere of influence. And we always say 80%. 80% of your lead generation focus needs to be on your sphere of influence. If you don't have a big enough sphere of influence, then you're at the position that I was in. I moved out here with no database. I had to grind for a couple of years on, open houses, door knocking, networking events. I absolutely understood that I didn't want to lead from those. I wanted relationships from those, because those people today are the people that ask me to go out for burritos, that ask me to go and grab a beer, that ask me to go to a concert or a sporting event. And those people now refer me business. Inquired about the property they saw online, 7%, website, 7%, for sale, open house signage, 5%. I like this right here. 5% from for sale and open house signage. So this is signs in the yard. If you guys have a listing, you've got to convince your seller to put a sign in the yard. All right. It's just business that can just come to you. So why not do it? Visited an open house, 4%. Signage, 5%, open house, 4%. So even if you combine those, less than 10% of all buyers work with people from open houses and signs. Less than 10% come from websites and online stuff. Referrals from other agents, 5%. I think that's low. If you get intentional with the KW Command referral network, I think this is very, very low. Meaning, if you start to reach out and you start to really hone in on the referral networks through the Facebook groups and through Command, agents, we're all the same. We like ease. If I have a referral for Dallas, Fort Worth, it's much easier for me to go into my Command, type in Dallas, and see if I have an agent who's added me as a friend on the Facebook referral or on the Command referral group. Because if they have, and I have a lead for Dallas, I have to go in and do one thing to find contact information for an agent. I'm going to give them a call, make sure they still work Dallas, and I'm going to send them a referral. Agents, we are creatures of ease, and so are you. When you need a referral agent, you're going to probably use the first agent that's referred to you. So if you put it on our Facebook group, you're most likely going to use that agent. If you already have them in Command, you're probably going to use that agent, because we don't want to take our time fishing and talking to 5-10 different agents for one individual for a buyer. We just want to know that the agent is competent and can take that buyer on. We're going to go. Sellers, very similar. Obviously, I think that this little number here is a lot higher, right? We went from 13% to 29%. But I also want you guys to take a look at this. Almost a 10% drop in referrals from friends to 39%. So almost a 10% drop. So let's talk through this a little bit. But at the same token, you guys still need to see buyers were at 60%, and this is at 69%. So if you're not talking to your sphere of influence and actually intentionally letting them know you're in real estate and that your lifeblood is built off of their referrals, you're missing the bar. We need to get through some mental stuff because it works. It's statistically proven. I think Mark runs at 82%. I know Damian Wise runs at like 90 some percent. I run at 80 something percent. Most all high producing agents are actually much higher than this 60, 70% for repeat business from their sphere of influence. All right, let's talk through these little points right here. Why did this go down? Referral from friend, family, neighbor, or relative went from 47% down to 39%. It's because some sellers went through a bad experience buying the home. And so they no longer want referrals from their friends. They traditionally want to interview a few people if they've had a bad experience on the buy side. I also think this is down because this is up. Used agent previously on a transaction. When you guys work with a ton of buyers, they become sellers down the road as long as you're constantly touching base with them. What frustrates me about this number, 30%, I bet you anything I got to be like 70 to 80% of every buyer that I've ever put into their home that has then sold with me. Very, very, very few buyers have bought with me and then sold with another agent. Very few. And it's because of our touch program. Here at Keller Williams, we talk and we teach that 33 touch that developed into a 42 touch that now is at a 66 touch. So all of my previous transactions get 66 touches a year. And that's why they still do business with me once they want to sell. Makes sense? You've got to focus on your sphere. All this other stuff is ancillary. If you're building your business, right? I know Augustine is door knocking like a fool. It's because he's building his database. He's going to get here, but he doesn't have previous transactional experience. So that one's wiped out. Your referral, your sphere of influence might be smaller than you need it to be or want it to be. And so you're going to build that through these metrics. But over time, everything shifts to your sphere. Cool. All right, let's dive into some command database. Where is my... All right. All right, what we're going into next is we're going to talk about the pipeline tool, or I'm sorry, I always call it the pipeline tool. It's called opportunities. All right, as you guys can tell, things change over time, right? Command calls our lead pipeline. We call that an opportunities list. So when you get into command, you're going to go over here to these handshakes, opportunities. It's a handshake because, again, we have to build relationships with our leads. Leads do not like robots. They do not like me to send them a canned email every month that says, hey, this is Bruce, just checking in. Hope you're doing well. Reach out if you have any questions. Leads need emails, but they also need phone calls and text messages and social media reach outs and engagements. Leads need you to take them out to coffee and beer and wine and tea, maybe lunch or brunch, or have them over to a family, not a family gathering, but a barbecue at your house. So in your leads or in your command, you're going to have a pipeline. Here's your pipeline. You have listings, buyers, and leases. Let me get into mine. Let me see here. All right. So here's my opportunities. Cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed. All right. So you want your leads to work left to right on this page. Cultivate are people that are in cultivation stage. That's who I'm following up with. So I'm going to click into here. And now I need to follow up with these people all the time. I need to continue to follow up with them. Now, I just saw an old one in here. I just sold my own house, which is probably why I didn't move it, because I was paying attention to my own self and I was talking to myself. But once this lead goes from watch, meaning what's watch, what's nurture, what's hot? Let me talk to you about that. Watch is I got a lead. They're somebody who I'm talking to. I got name and phone number, but I'm still working on motivation, timeline, all of those things. Once I know some more things and I know, like, okay, I got a game plan with this person. They're buying a house next March because of X, Y, Z, B, and A. Now I'm going to continue to nurture them. So I'm going to put them over here. And as I continue to nurture them and we get closer and closer and closer to March, I'm going to probably go ahead and put them in hot when maybe say it's like middle of December or January 1st. I'm going to put them into hot because they're going to be buying in March. So I need them to understand that this is now urgent. And so I need to talk to them more frequently than I do people in watch. Once this person is ready to sit down with me, I'm going to move them to the appointment phase. And so once they're in the appointment phase and I schedule it, I'm going to go here. And then once I actually have the appointment, I'm going to go to kept. And then once I kept that appointment and they're ready to roll with me, and like, let's say they're out looking at homes or they're a seller that I'm about ready to put on the market, I'm going to put them in active. And then from active, I'm going to start I'm in buyers, so never mind. Sorry. Crap. I'm in buyers, so this is where things starts to change. I'm in buyers, so now I'm going to start showing them properties, and then I'm going to put them under contract, and then they're going to close. Going through escrow, inspections, appraisals, blah blah blah. I don't know why it's not going. Anyways, that's how that opportunity systems work. All right. So this is where you guys will really start to understand what your business looks like, what it's doing. You always need a bunch of people in the cultivate stage, buyers and sellers. Very rarely do people stay in the appointment phase very long, which is why you don't see very many in there. I have a bunch of active listings right now, and I have some active buyers. I don't have one under contract. Oh, I just moved it there. Yeah, sorry. Working through these opportunity phases will help you understand where your business is going to come from. It's also going to help you kind of settle down some of the emotion that you have around some leads. Because if these leads can't go to cultivate, you've got no business coming up. You need to keep lead generating until you can get a buyer into cultivate or into appointment, or a seller into an appointment. Questions on command opportunities? All right. All right, let's talk about ready, willing, and able. Focus becomes increasingly possible in direct proportion to how clear you are about what you want, when you want it, and what you must do to get it. I'm going to use this quote, and I'm going to pick on Augustine for a sec. Focus becomes increasingly possible in direct proportion to how clear you are about what you want. He just attempted a bold 100. He was very clear about what he wanted. We all know it's possible because Bold promotes it, and then we've got a lot of success stories from a Bold 100. So he knows exactly what he needs to do. He knew exactly when he wanted to do it. That was yesterday. And he also thought he knew what he needed to do to make it happen. But since he came up just a little short, and I don't even think it's short, 72 contacts in one flipping day, brother, congratulations. But now from that, coming up short just a touch on 100, you know now what you must do to go get it. You see, lead generation, lead follow-up, it's very same. It's the same thing. When you know that you have to understand how to find motivation in a lead, that's your clear importance, right? It's increasingly possible in direct proportion to how clear you are about what you want. When you have a lead, you have to think, I want motivation. I want motivation. I want motivation. When you're clear about what motivation is, how it works, what you want to accomplish, then you're going to go get it. And from motivation, you're going to be able to set up you're going to be able to set up and actually convert leads because you understand somebody's situation. Talk about understanding people's situations. Ready, willing, and able. Touched on this a couple of nights ago. It's something we really got to focus on, you guys. All right, a ready, willing, and able buyer. I like this graphic too. Right here, this little guy right here is the only place that all three things overlap. I want you guys to think about these circles, metaphorically speaking, or whatever, use it as an analogy. I don't know what you want to call it. When you have leads are going to fit into these circles. The leads that actually start to do things are the leads in this little tiny area right here, where all the circles overlap. This is why 1 out of 10 leads pan out over the next rolling 12 months. Because some leads are over here. They're able to buy, they're just not really that willing. They're able to buy financially, but they're not willing, nor are they ready to. They haven't talked to a lender yet. So as you can see, if you think about this graph, when you get a lead, buyer, seller, investor, I want you to think about their situation. All right. And I want you to take their situation and I want you to put them in this able part, or maybe it's this able and willing part. Maybe it's only ready, or maybe it's ready and able, or maybe it's willing and ready. I want you to think through that. I really want you to dive in with those leads and think their situation causes them to be here in this little graph. Because if they're not here, you've got work to do. You've got to cultivate, you've got to nurture, you've got to build relationship, build rapport. Make you the option and resource that when time comes and they actually get into this circle, they can't use anybody else but you. And it's an awesome feeling when you guys are able to accomplish that and really understand ready, willing, and able. So a buyer lead, ready. Well, what does a buyer lead need to be ready? They need money. So do they have a proof of funds with cash, or do they have a lender's pre-approval? Are they ready? Right? Willing. Well, I've got a buyer right now who is a oil field worker. So he goes off and he works for 6 weeks at a time, comes home for 4, goes back out for 6. So in the times that he's gone, he vacates this little willing area. But when he comes back into town, he goes right into this ready, willing, and able area. So this guy like flops on me all the time with my pipeline. He'll say, okay, Bruce, I'm going out of town. I'll see you in about 6 weeks. Okay, boom, take him off of my pipeline to follow up with. I put a reminder in my calendar for 5 weeks from now to let me know he's going to be back into town. So that way I look at my calendar and I know I need to have some time to go show him houses. So willing, just because they're pre-approved and just because they're able to, right? I'm pre-approved and I'm in a month-to-month rental doesn't mean I'm willing to get out there to see houses for whatever's going on in my life. Able, let's talk about that. Some people get pre-approved, right? You got a lot of buyer leads out there that go and they talk to a lender, they're pre-approved. And then they're willing, like they want to buy a house so bad, they're ready to go see houses. But then they tell you they're in a lease and that lease isn't up for another 6 months. And they think that they just can get out of their lease. But you find out that it's a $5,000 penalty. Well, that person, that individual is no longer able to buy. maybe financially. Maybe they can't spend that 5,000 or don't want to. In that case, maybe they're able to buy, they have 5,000, they're able to buy, but they're not willing to pay the 5,000. So now they're no longer willing. So you guys use this ready, willing, and able, ready, willing, and able. If you can't answer these questions, you haven't asked the buyer or seller enough questions, right? So if you get a lead and you can't put them into one of these bubbles, then you haven't asked enough questions. Don't just put a lead in here in an assumption. That's why you have to go deep with your questions with leads. Where am I at here? Classifying your opportunities, classifying these leads. All right. In a couple of Ignites ago, we talked about the pipeline tool. Today, we're talking about opportunities. All right. So I want you guys to classify your opportunities in any way you guys see fit. Ignite's going to teach you ABC. I've already taught you 1 through 10, right? A 10 for me is a ready, willing, and able buyer or seller. A 9 is two of those three things. An 8 is typically two of those three things with a little bit more time, so on and so forth. An A buyer or seller, an opportunity should be people that are ready, willing to do business right now. I'm getting a listing ready that's going to go on the market in and on the market in the next 14 days. I got a buyer who just got pre-approved and we're setting up showings for this weekend. B, I got a buyer who's getting their pre-approval. Once their pre-approval is done, then we're going to go look at homes. I have a seller who needs to finish painting their master bedroom, and then we're going to be able to put the sign in the yard and put it on the MLS. C, ready, willing, and able to do business in 60 plus days, so a couple months out. The reason why I like to use 1 through 10 and I promote 1 through 10, you guys, is because this only goes out 60 days. Right. I need to go grab some water. We've only got a tiny bit left, but I want to hit home on these guys here and where to find some resources. So I'm going to pause this, go ahead and use the bathroom, go grab yourself some more coffee, and let's get started here in about 3 minutes. All right. Talking about qualifying buyers. All right. You guys, resources will help you. Resources are a huge, huge, huge thing. A lot of us feel like, especially when we're new, that using cheat sheets and doing that sort of thing is wrong. We need to be a professional and we need to go into the appointment. We need to know we need to have everything ready. We need to do everything and all of that stuff. I personally recommend these types of resources to kind of keep your head on straight, to make sure that you go through everything with them. It is a very common practice to take this sheet right here and bring it to a buyer's consultation and work through all of these points. Same thing with a seller. And I'm going to show you guys some different resources. So here we go. In Ignite, okay, so KW Connect, type in Ignite, go to Ignite, the 2022 version, download this Ignite participant guide, and then I want you to go to page 196. Where is that? Well, I had it teed up for you guys. Sorry, give me a second. Darn it. What the heck?
I'm glad it's
Oh,
just not me that has problems with.
no, I'm a moron. Ha. It's right here. Duh. It's not on a separate thing. It's in my browser. All right. So it's a 355-page document. So be careful printing it, right? I'm a big fan of printing things if you need them, but also printing the pages that you want. So here's what I recommend everybody do. You go to page 196, hit print, select the pages that you want, and you can do through, I think it's 200, and it'll print just those 5 pages for you. So print off some buyer lead sheets. And then there's seller pre-qualification question, pre-listing questions. You want to go through these things, right? I think we miss the bar when we get somebody that says, hey, a friend of mine told me to call you because I want to list my house. We sometimes get all excited and start talking about the house. We got to slow down. We need to know where that came from, because we need to pour into that friend that referred us that business. Here's also how you really start to understand motivation. And this is why you guys have to have these cheat sheets. So when I was a producing agent, I had a buyer intake form and a seller intake form printed off at all times. I wanted 5 copies at my office at all times, because if I needed to run out of the office to go meet with somebody, I could grab one. If I got a phone call, I could grab one, right? I like 5 because I'm a lazy creature, and sometimes I'll use one and then not reprint myself one. And then all of a sudden I don't have one at a moment's notice. So it's just the method that I use. But print these things. What's motivating you to move out there? Direct motivation question. Using these things and then taking them to the appointment is huge, huge. Especially when you take a notepad to an appointment and you're up here and you're writing down everything there is to know about their house or whatever. And then they see ahas. I love when clients ask me, what's an aha? An aha is like more of like, this is my facts, and this is maybe how I'm going to market your home. You told me about this, and I just had a great idea about how to do it, right? You can really sell yourself with these things, but use these cheat sheets when you're talking to your buyers and sellers. It's very important that you document and you keep these things. You're running a business, and you need to not just put this stuff in your head, right? If they tell you that their dog is named Fluffy and that he had 2 knee surgeries, and that they really want to find a place for Fluffy to run around, then my notes are going to say, I need a backyard for Fluffy, probably fenced in. And my aha is probably going to be, I'm going to get Fluffy a dog tag with the brand new address when they buy their house. And that's going to be part of the closing gift, because they're doing this for their dog. Questions, comments, concerns? Gosh darn it. All right. Touch plans, going back through this. All right. 19 touches to connect. We talked about this. We went through this in massive detail in our one of our night sessions and lead follow-up. So go back and rewatch the recording. We're not going to hammer this home, but I want to reiterate, when you get a lead, you need to start touching them. You've got to put them on a touch program. If I get a lead that's not part of my database or my sphere of influence, I'm going to touch them a little less frequent than my sphere of influence. I don't want to scare off a lead, but I also need to be front and center with them. And so Ignite says connect 19 times. 19 times. 4 quarterly phone calls, 12 touches through email, video, newsletter, 2 touches through direct mail, maybe a pop-by gift. If you don't know where they live, maybe it's social media engagement. And then 1 touch for an annual event. Invite them to things that we do. Invite them to community events. Hallie Bandy put together a newsletter with free community events to her database. Those need to be pumped out to all of her leads too, right? Your leads need value, so they think, man, this guy not only is helping me buy a property, they're keeping me up to date with the communities and free events. And this is somebody's email that I always want to open because it's got relevancy. It's got things that I want. 1, to cement. We talked about that a little bit. A high value touch that solidifies a relationship you have just established and opens the door for future interactions. All right, let's talk about cementing some leads, right? Whenever I'm done meeting with a buyer or seller, instantaneously, my touch program tells me not my touch program, my checklist tells me I have to send them a thank you card. Now, that doesn't really cement every relationship, but it helps cement it. If they're interviewing other agents, how many other agents sent them a handwritten thank you card? Right? If I know I'm interviewing with a seller and they've talked to a couple other agents, I might even go on send out cards. So sendoutcards.com. Go ahead and show you guys that. You can actually send a thank you card and a box of brownies right to their house. You don't even have to bake anything. And it is such a such a powerful touch. It's unreal for a couple bucks. It's a pretty cool website. I would absolutely recommend getting in here. If you see somebody online that had a new baby, right? Maybe go get them a box of diapers and drop it off to their house. Or maybe, I bypass this. Or maybe do something like this. Happy birthday card. You can send out, gosh darn it. Anyways, you can send out little stuffed animals, box of brownies, you name it. There's a lot of options on here. Great tool to use to cement and solidify relationships. Questions on touch programs. If you need to develop your touch program in Command, you have to reach out to our tech coordinator, Ryan Thompson. You guys need to attend his workshops. His workshops are super powerful. If you're not touching base with your database, remember what we talked about up here. This is where our business comes from. Pour into it, but you also don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's all part of the Command system. You just got to learn how to use it, and then you can learn how to use it through Ryan. I think that is about it. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. We're going to use that quote to end here. Stop my share. Hallie Bandy, can I pick on you for a sec? Do I have your permission?
Go ahead.
Okay. And I'm picking on Hallie, and it's not that I'm picking on her. I'm picking on every single agent in this room. I did it. Hallie did it. I'm watching everybody do it. Augustine in a way, right? And you'll pick up what I'm talking about here in a sec. So Hallie got her listing, $1.7 million listing. Hallie, did you door knock that neighborhood before that listing or after the listing was live?
After.
Why?
I don't know.
Because you had a reason to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say I'm picking on Hallie. It's because when you don't have a lead, you're out there working through the motions. You're door knocking for open houses and you're doing this and you're doing that. And then all of a sudden we get a lead. I get a buyer. A buyer wants to buy in Loveland at 550, and they know kind of areas that they have identified. They like the subdivision. The subdivision is in a price point in which they can purchase in. And now that agent goes and door knocks, and that door knock session turns from this. Hey, my name's Bruce, and I'm actually going around the neighborhood because you know, we have a few buyers at our office that are interested in the Loveland area. And I'm making sure that we're looking at talking to anybody who's thinking about selling so we can help match the buyers at our office up with a potential somebody in your neighborhood who's looking to sell. Who might you know? Right? That's a great script. That's such an awesome script. But it's missing the conviction. Now, I get that buyer lead. That buyer lead's mine. It's not the office's buyer lead anymore. It's my buyer lead. They're 550 and under. And I'm so excited to go find them a house. But right now, the MLS doesn't have anything they really want to see. But I told them that I'm going to go prospect for them. And I'm going to find them a house. And now that gets a little bit more intense. Knock, knock. Hey, what's going on? My name's Bruce, and I'm out here canvassing your entire neighborhood because I have a need. I have a potential buyer that I'm working with right now that absolutely wants to buy in this neighborhood. You see, we've seen everything on the MLS, and we're trying to find that next person who's thinking about selling their home because I have a job to find them this home. Who do you know that's looking to sell their house in the next couple of months, maybe even a year? Because these guys, I gotta get them in. There's somebody that I'm passionate about finding a home for. And so if you know of anybody, like maybe you or a neighbor, like, do you know of anybody with a roll-off dumpster or anybody who's like doing a bunch of remodel, who's thinking about selling their home? If you guys start lead generating as if you had that lead, your conviction would come out. And then when that conviction comes out, you're going to get more people. Instead of saying, nope, I don't know if anybody wants to buy a house. You're going to get people that go, oh my gosh, no, I'm not selling my house, but no, gosh, I can't think of anybody, but give me your card. If I run across anybody, I'll gladly give you a call. I think it's really cool what you're doing for your clients. That you're going to get different responses. You're going to get different people that really hit home. Right? So quit waiting for a lead to be a reason that you go lead generate for leads. Be convicted, right? Now, if you don't have a buyer, you can still have that conviction come off. Hey, what's going on? My name's Bruce. I actually work for Keller Williams. And you see at our office, we have agents who have buyers that need this neighborhood. They need to live here and they have a budget and they really need to find this next property. And so we took it upon ourselves as a market center to make sure that we find this inventory for these people. You see, if you were buying a house, wouldn't you want your agent to not only show you what's available on the market, but also to find you listings that are for sale that just haven't hit the market yet? So who do you know that's looking to possibly sell their home in the near future so we can help some of our buyers at our market center get into this neighborhood? Have that conviction, guys. That's going to really help with lead generation as well as lead follow-up, right? Mr. and Mrs. Buyer lead. Hey, I know that time is coming. And I know that right now we're not exactly ready, but I'm so confident that I'm going to help you find a home. But we got to walk through these steps to get together. So let me know what happened last week with you talking with the lender. Is there something I can do to get you in front of the lender? Because I know you guys are busy and I don't want this to take up a bunch of your time. But the fact of the matter is I'm going to find you a home, but we gotta get that lending stuff in order first. How can we do that? Can we do that this week, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Because I'm ready to get to work for you. When that conviction comes out of your mouth, your buyer lead's more likely to actually just get off their butt and start talking to a lender. Your seller's more likely to start that renovation project that they've been saying, hey, we're going to list our house after we remodel our bathroom. And their bathroom's been basically pulled apart and in disarray for months. And every time you talk to them, they haven't moved at all. It's most likely because you're calling and saying, hi, it's Bruce. Hey, how's that bathroom remodel going? Oh, it's still taking some time. Hey, that's no problem. I'll keep touching base. And, when that gets finished, we'll go ahead and, get things started. So in the meantime, I'll talk to you soon. No, it's, hey, what's going on? Okay. All right. Yeah, bathroom remodels are a thing, man. They can take some time. What do you think is the number one thing causing you not to be able to get this thing done? Is it just time and like work and the kids and life? What if I found what if I found 3 contractors that can come over and just give you a bid to help you finish this off? Right? I've got some people that aren't going to gouge you. They're more like handyman that maybe can help you finish it. You see, the fact of the matter is that if we keep prolonging this, our market's wavering right now. And I want you guys, like, the worst thing that I could ever do as an agent to you, Mr. and Mrs. Potential Seller, is basically allow you guys to prolong this bathroom remodel to miss out on the height of this market. You see, I know you don't want to pay for a contractor to come in and do all of that work, but I think maybe starting to look at having a contractor help out to get it done, to help you capitalize on the market, is actually going to put more dollars in your pocket. Is that something I can do for you, to set up maybe 3 contractors to just come take a look? Conviction, you guys. Conviction helps convert. Knowing why you're doing what you're doing helps you convert. And taking your mindset around lead generating into building, from lead generation to building relationships, causes conviction and confidence. All right, that's all I got for you. Night session 13. Next week, we're going to start getting into the nitty gritty, right? Let me just take a look at it here. Night session 14, we are going to start with buyers, I believe. Yeah, win the buyer. This is a powerful one. I want you guys to block it out of your calendar. I'm going to toot my horn for a second. I was the number 2 buyer's agent for all of Keller Williams in the state of Colorado a few years back. I used to travel to different market centers throughout the states to teach my Win with Buyers class. So prepare for a long one next week. Today we cut you off a little short, but I will teach you guys how to win with buyers. I'm going to teach you guys so much stuff of why and how I was able to help 51 buyers in 1 year. A lot of different gold coming through there. So anyways, see you guys next week.
Bye, thank you.
Bye,
You
Bruce.
guys.
Thanks.